All right, so reviewing Unit 1, since the Unit 1 test is tomorrow. How many cherry trees had a height of exactly 70? How many cherry trees had a height of exactly 70? Of exactly 70. All right. So histograms. What's unique about histograms? All right, we got to go over the answers to what's unique about histograms. What's unique about histograms? Shows us the frequency. What else? It has intervals is what I was looking for. So that means this bar, the way that it's written, is all the values from 60 through 64. This bar is all the values from what? The one that my mouse is on. Good. What about this middle bar? 70 through 74. Is there any way to tell exactly like how many are exactly 70? Not on histograms. It tells me that there's 8 data points that fall in this category, but without a list of the data points, there's no way to know how many are exactly 70. All right, so you can't tell based on the histogram alone is the correct answer. All right, good job. Next one. What percent of DVDs cost more than $20? What percent of DVDs cost more than $20? Remember, take notes as you go. I know the timing isn't like the best. It's like 30 seconds, but it's fine. We can do it. All right. So remember, box plots, you can see your data split into what? Quarters. Good. So wherever those lines are, split your data into quarters. So like here's my first 25%. Here's my second 25%. Third 25%, and then fourth 25%. Oops, I don't know why I put it. Sorry. All right, but all 25% to add up to 100%. And we want to know what percent of DVDs cost more than $20. So find 20 on your number line. It's here. More would be to the left or to the right of 20. To the right, that's where the numbers are more than 20. So what percent is that? Just 25%. If it was more, then we would add up the quarters, but it's just the 25 that is shown. All right. On to the next one. So then, how much does the middle 50% of DVDs cost? How much does the middle 50% of DVDs cost? All right, so again, on your box plot, we know now that it splits the data into quarters, and it wants to know about the middle 50%. So what area of my box plot is that? The box itself. This is 25% up to the median, and here's another 25%. So that's my middle 50% right there. Where does it start? Where does it end? What number is that? 20. So that's my middle 50%. That's how much it costs. Questions, comments, concerns? All right, so the middle 50% is always the box itself. All right, next one. All right, good job. We have how many cars had 31 miles per gallon? How many cars had 31 miles per gallon? All right, good job. Not sure what happened with the red one, but look for the 31 on your number line. It's between 30 and 32, and then you just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, dot plots are super nice that they show you all your data points and exactly how many for each data point like it showed up. That's unlike the box plots and histograms where you can't see all your data points unless they list them out for you. All right, so then next one. Which measure of center would we use for the data? Mean, median, standard deviation, or interquartile range? All right. So first of all, what are our only options when we talk about measure of center? Mean and median. So yellow and green should not have been options at all. Only measures of center are mean and median. Now you use the mean when the data is what? Symmetrical. You use the median when the data is what? Not symmetrical, or in other words, skewed. So then looking at our data again, is it symmetrical or skewed? Skewed. What direction is it skewed? Perfect. It's left skewed because the void is on the left. So because it's skewed, the better measure of center is the median. Median because data is skewed. Specifically is left skewed. All right. Do you know what measure of variability to use when the data is skewed? That might be the next question. So let me before I just tell you. All right. Which measure of variability would we use for the data? All right, good. So Only options for measures of variability are what? IQR is one of them for variability. What else? Standard deviation. And then there is one more. What is it? Good. Mean absolute deviation. These two kind of go together because they both depend on the mean. The mean is actually in both of those formulas. So when do you use these as the better measure of variability? When the data is symmetrical. You use the standard deviation or MAC. When the data is skewed, that's when you use your IQR as the preferred measure of variability. So then looking at the data again, which happens to be the same as the last problem, is the data symmetrical or skewed? Skewed, so that's why the correct answer was IQR. Sorry, that's behavior you guys. All right, so next one. Which distribution would have a smaller standard deviation? All right, so standard deviation measures what again? How spread out your data is. So then, when it's asking which one would have a smaller standard deviation, we're talking about which one is a little bit spread out. So why is the first one less spread out than the bottom one? It's clumped together, it takes up less space on the number line, whereas this one takes up more space and more spread out. Good. Questions on this one? All right, which distribution would have a greater standard deviation? Which one would have a greater standard deviation? So in histograms, we talked about how usually like the one with fewer bars are less spread out. Do these have like, do any one of them have fewer bars? No, they do have different shapes though. Any that we recognize? Bell shape for the first one, good. Sorry. I feel like bell shape the way I do it, but yes, bell shape. And then what about for the second one? Bimodal. We have talked about if you have bell shape versus bimodal, which one is more spread out? All right, so think about it. When data is symmetrical, which both of these are, the mean is usually where? In the middle. So we can expect the mean to be like around here for both of them. For the one on the left, is most of the data close or far from the mean? close, they're clustered around the mean. In fact, the bar that's the tallest is on where the mean would be. And then in the other one, are the most of the data points close or far from the mean? So that is how we determine that this one is a little more spread out than the first one. Does that make sense? And of course, we talked about standard deviation measures, how it's spread out. So what measure of center and variability best represents this data? What measure of center and variability best represents this data? Good job. So, looking at the data, how would you describe it? Bell shape? Anything else? Symmetrical. Things that are bell shaped usually are also symmetrical, or at least mostly symmetrical. So with that being said, when data is symmetrical, what's the better measure of center? Mean, and then best measure of variability when it's symmetrical. Standard deviation. All right, so then the next. All right, the median will be greater than the mean for the data below. True or false? All right, so this doesn't have the same answers each time, like, you know, when it's symmetrical versus not symmetrical. This one you have to really look at it. So the median means what? Center of your data. I could do my left, right, and know for sure what my median is. But based on where the data is mostly clustered around, where do you think the median would be? On what number approximately? So around here. Of course, we can check for sure. But then the mean, how do you find the mean again? So the sum of your values divided by the number of values. So in that case, do I have any potential outliers in my data? Potentially, we have some higher values, fewer higher values on the side. Would that make the mean increase from the median or decrease? Does that 12 pull it higher or lower than the median? The question was, would this 12 pull the mean to be higher than where we said the median would be or lower than? It would be higher because it's to the right of the number line. So we can estimate the mean that would be higher than standard economic distribution, higher than the median. So saying that the median will be greater is false. So that's how you can do it just from like estimate. You can always, for sure, since it's a dot plot, do the calculation or use technology to find it for sure. But on this one, since it's skewed, we can also look at the distribution. Questions on this one? So we have what might be a suspected outlier for the data set. Yes. All right, sorry, I didn't realize it was over already. All right, what might be a suspected outlier for the data set? Sorry, I didn't mean to give it away in the last one, but you guys actually told me that the suspected outlier would be 12. All right, how can you know for sure that something is an outlier? You have to use that formula. Well, there's two formulas. Which one would we use if we're testing the 12? Q3 is in it. You know what's next? That's IQR. So for outlier. Right, then I would make sure that I write this down and start highlighted. If I'm testing an outlier that is much bigger or smaller than the rest of the data, that's closer to Q1 or Q3. So then you're going to use the formula that looks something like this. Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR. So yeah, you would still need the Q3 minus Q1 for this part. But that is for outliers much greater than the data. That's how you can know for sure. Of course, yeah, you can assume, but if you have extra time on the test, go back and plug it into the formula and look at it. All right. So what is your biggest priority before the Unit 1 assessment? Finish or redo old problem sets, get extra help from my teacher, make sure my notes are organized, study topics I got wrong on this student. And I do have tutoring today, if you want to stop by. When I come around, kind of show me both sides of your All right, good, thank you. So if I were you, for my study purposes, I'd make sure that that puzzle piece from algebra is done, the study guide puzzle piece. I would take another look at my paper study guide. Both are made to the test. We did the entire Kahoot, so unless you have questions, you don't really need to go through the Kahoot again, but it is available. You do not get to use notes on your test tomorrow. You can use a calculator, just not on your phone, and there's also a calculator in the test. And then when are missing assignments due? Friday. Now, I would probably put that last. Definitely make sure your study guide is done first. That your binder check is ready if you haven't had it yet. And so the winners are Ashley. Did you work with someone, Ashley? Okay, so then I'll give you a prize. These we already went through.